The night was suffocating, as if the very air hung heavy with unspeakable dread. Thick, rolling clouds choked the sky, hiding the moon's pale light. Somewhere deep in the vast wilderness stood a mansion, old, rotting, and forgotten by time. The mansion belonged to a family steeped in whispered legends of dark pacts and unspeakable curses, its history buried in shadows. Generations had come and gone, but one thing remained constant. No heir had ever escaped the wrath of the curse tied to their bloodline. The last living heir, a man who had inherited the property with little knowledge of the horrors lurking in his family's past, now found himself in the heart of the mansion. He wasn't there by choice. Night after night, the same dream had come to him, horrific visions of blood-soaked rituals, fire, and a demon's burning gaze. Tonight, however, something had changed. The dream had driven him out of his bed and down the long, dark corridors of the mansion, pulling him towards the cellar where the secret of his lineage lay buried. In the dim light of a flickering torch, he descended the spiral staircase that led into the mansion's bowels. Dust hung in the air, thick and choking, but he pressed on, driven by a force he couldn't name. He didn't want to face what lay ahead, but the curse had begun to work its way into his mind, eroding his will. The staircase ended before a massive stone door, ancient and worn. Cryptic symbols were carved into its surface, symbols he recognized from the old family manuscripts, though their meaning had always eluded him. Blood ties, the price of the soul, the text read. These were the words that had haunted his dreams, calling him deeper into the nightmare of his ancestry. With trembling hands, he pressed against the cold stone. A shudder ran through the mansion, and the ground seemed to groan underfoot. The door creaked open, revealing a hidden crypt. The torchlight barely penetrated the thick darkness, but in its flickering glow, he saw his ancestors' tombs, their names engraved on cold stone, every one of them marked by the same curse. The air was stale, suffocating, but the worst was yet to come. From the shadows, a figure emerged, massive and cloaked in darkness. Its form was vague, yet its presence was unmistakably powerful, suffused with the stench of ancient evil. Azazel, the demon bound to his bloodline for eternity, loomed before him, his red eyes glowing like embers in the pitch black. At last, Azazel hissed, his voice a low, malevolent growl that seemed to vibrate through the very walls of the crypt. You have come to face your family's debt. Blood is the only currency that can settle the pact they made. The man's heart pounded wildly in his chest, his grip tightening around the dagger he had brought. A family relic, the blade was the one weapon capable of fulfilling the ritual, the same ritual that had claimed the lives of those before him. Your ancestors thought they could cheat me, Azazel continued, his lips curling into a cruel grin. But there is no escaping what was promised. The man stood frozen, his mind racing with fear and the crushing weight of inevitability. There was no way out. His blood, his soul, it had all been signed away before he was even born, and now Azazel was here to collect. The crypt grew colder, the shadows deeper, and the ancient walls seemed to close in around him. His breath came in shallow gasps as Azazel moved closer, the ground quaking with each step. He raised the dagger, his hands trembling, knowing that his life would soon be forfeit to the same demon that had tormented his family for centuries. The weight of generations bore down on him, all the sins, the unholy bargains, the sacrifices. It had all led to this moment, and yet he still harbored the faintest hope that he could somehow escape, that he could end the curse that had plagued his bloodline. But hope was a fragile thing, to be continued